Alright guys, when we last left off, the truck was 99% done, almost ready to hit the dirt. This video is going to be just finishing up those last couple of things, so let's just jump right into it. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to mount the tube that's going to go across here to mount the seatbelts to it. Now these seatbelts are supposed to be between 0 and 15 degrees, give or take, of these little slats here. And so I have to move it up as high as possible. I was thinking about welding it to this. I'm not going to do that, I don't think. Let me show you what I've got planned up. Now I have this tube here that I was initially rolling. You see how it has a nice soft bend to it? And I was rolling that so that I could make that into my front bumper, but I ended up deciding to just kink it in a couple spots here. I like the way the bumper turned out, but that left me with this piece as scrap. So I was thinking about flipping it this way so that it rolls around. That way it'll allow me to get up a little bit higher. Not sure if that's going to be required or if I'm going to mount straight across. Now the way I'm going to mount it, rather than just welding it, I've got another piece here that I've already cut. So I cut it this way and then I slice it right down the middle. And what I'm thinking about doing is forming this piece over it. You see how there's a little bit of gap there? So basically widen this out and then mount it this way, welding this piece to this piece here, and then that way I can just bolt this right in on the vehicle. That's the plan. We'll see if I end up doing that or if I have to weld it in. Alright guys, I think I've decided what I'm going to do here. Well, I hope I decided because it's partly done. This tube that I've got here, this is not the 1 3/4 that I went with everywhere else. This is 1 1/4 that I had lying around, which ends up working out really good because it's such a tight squeeze here. And then the angle that I cut it at over here allows me to move it out a little bit farther and still get around this tube here. Now there's a couple things I haven't done here, and I've tacked it on, as you can see. What I haven't done is I haven't tried removing this. And I'm not 100% sure that it's going to come out okay. I kind of told myself that if I have to hammer it into place and then bolt it, that's okay, because I don't care so much about the paint right now, but I just hope it comes out easily. The other thing I haven't done is I haven't checked it with a level. So I figured I'd do that now while you guys are with me here. So let's see what the bumper is. What do we got here? 0.2, 0.3. Let's see. Oh, that's not bad. It's close. All right, cool. So now let's see if it comes out easy. Woo! That was not easy. Alright guys, I've got the tube installed. Came out really nice. You can see I've already got the holes drilled and I've got some temporary bolts in there. I'm going to remove these, pull this out, paint it, and then I'm going to install some grade 8 bolts on it. Now I was trying to decide between 3/8 and 5/16, and I wanted to show you guys this little pocket reference guide. I use this thing all the time. I bought it about 15 years ago from Ace, and I've already got the little section here. You see I went to grade 8 bolts, and then it tells me exactly what the clamping force is for the different sizes, and then it tells me what I can torque it down to. Another section that I use a lot over here, this shows depending on which type of coating, like if there's zinc plating on the bolt, you're going to multiply the torque settings by 1.7. But then let's see down here, let's say you've got phosphate and oil, that is going to change it by 0.95. This can be a super handy reference when you're getting technical. Like I said, I got this at Ace. I'll see if I can find it on Amazon and put a link in the description. Here's the little bolts that I end up going with. Alright guys, I didn't show you when I installed the reflector tape for the headlight because the way it curved, I couldn't get it to roll in and it was just miserable, and so I just peeled it off and I figured I'd paint it. I've watched a few YouTube videos on guys who are better at vinyl work than I am. I don't like working with vinyl at all. But basically, my plan is going to be put a piece of white vinyl over this and then use my heat gun to try to force it into all these cracks, and then use a razor blade to cut around the edges and see if I can get this white. That's my goal. So I figured I'd show you either way, even if it doesn't work and I have to peel it all off and I have to paint it. At least that way you guys will see what it looks like when an amateur tries to deal with vinyl. Alright guys, so the goal is to just kind of stick it on there. Yep. I think the problem was that I used too cheap of vinyl. This is like just the cheapest stuff that they've got, so it's super duper thin, so it's got all these little imperfections in it. What I'll do is I'll take a little break, go have some dinner, walk away from it. Sometimes when you walk away from it and you come back, you go, that's not too bad. Alright guys, so the fake headlights are done. They came out, okay. They're not great, but at least it'll give a little contrast to the light blue, make it look a little bit more blue. And I think from far away it'll probably end up looking better. Now, the last thing I have to do before taking this out, well, the second to last thing. The last thing I have to do, once I put a few more miles on it, drain that rear fluid, make sure that the gears are okay, put new fluid into it. That's the last thing. Second to last thing, this brake pedal assembly. Now, if you remember, golly, way back in the day, episode 5, I think, I built this belt crank. This mechanism takes the input from the pedal this way, turns it this way. I'm having a little bit of an issue with it. Let me show you. It only happens when it's running because, let me get it running, I'll show you. As you all know, when your vehicle's running, your brakes are much easier to push down because you've got vacuum to your vacuum booster. Now I want you to watch this little rod here, and I want you to watch the angle. When I push it in, the angle moves. Now if you notice, my brake lights are working, right? This rod gets moved enough when it's under full force that the lights go out. See? And the lights are out because that rod has pushed away from the button that turns on the brake lights. So it's not a safety issue. Everything is working well, but it moves too much off to the side to make me comfortable. Also, I told you guys that I want that pedal to move out a little bit. So I'm going to redo this piece. When I initially built it, I told you guys I wasn't thrilled with it. So I'm not super upset about having to redo that. But it's a little bit of a bummer now, but better do it now than later. So let me pull this all apart and then I'll make a new one, lickety split. All right guys, I've got that belt crank removed. I will say I am super happy with the engineering on this whole system. I know it's a bit of a bummer that I didn't get the angles exactly right, but that was kind of the only unknown. The whole thing came out just perfectly. It took all of 15 minutes, and every bolt and everything was just designed to be able to reach with your hands, which is nice. And then this piece, I'm just going to be able to whip up a new one. All right, I've got it mounted up. Now I'm just using the existing hole right here for now. You can see the angle is a little bit far to this side here, but of course when it pushes it's going to straighten out. I've pushed the pedal a little bit here just to kind of make sure everything's working. And you see the lights are turning on. But I figured together, let's fire it up and then really push the pedal in all the way, and we'll see how it works. So let's go. Looking good. All right, guys, yet another clip where I had no audio. I'm just showing that I greased the bolt and then installed locking nuts here, and then the bottom one, of course, is another locking nut. So it's all pretty much ready to go. I just have to put the panel back on and then take it for a test drive. Everything was great with the brakes, so I decided to take it on a test drive on the freeway, just to kind of get the speed up, see how it's doing, make sure those gears are nice and broken in before I did that final oil change, and everything went perfect. All right, guys, so I don't know exactly how many miles are on this because I don't have an odometer, but it's a bunch of hours and a bunch of starts and stops. If I had to guess, maybe 200 miles. So let's pull it off and see what it looks like. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh. Ooh. Oh yeah, look at that wear pattern. Guys, I could not be happier. If you look here, you'll notice there's no wear right on this little edge, and then there's no wear on this edge, and then you can see it fading out right here, and then again no wear on the inside. So basically we're making contact with the full portion of this tooth. Let's look at the other side. Now right here is beautiful. It's more of the same. You see there's a fading right on the edge. There's a little fade right here. No biting on the top lip. Again, same thing on the bottom. Just a really, really nice wear pattern. So time to change this fluid, put it back together. Oh, let's check the backlash first. So our backlash ended up at 9. Maybe 8. No, 9. Perfect. Everything looks fantastic. Ready to go back together. So while I've got this open, I figured I should show you guys how this locker works. So I'm going to spin the passenger side tire right now, and you'll hear that ratcheting noise. And so you see how it breaks free? Kind of interesting, huh? All right, guys, I'm going over everything again. Right before we take it out, battery's good. Just finished with the diff fluid. I was going to put the, well, I did put the skid plate on, but I had an issue with one of my riv nuts where you can see these are designed to go against something that is flat. And in my case, because it had a curved edge, because it was this roll bar. It did not go in there and seat properly. And so I started to put a new one in, and then it got me thinking, you know what? I really should just cut these off, drill another hole in the top, and then have a better bolt that goes all the way through and I can tighten it down, because if 1 or 2 or 3 of these go, then this plate can come off, flip around, and just cause all kinds of damage. So I'm taking it out mostly to the dirt today, no rocks to speak of, and it is protected, so I think I'm just gonna go, well, I am gonna go skid plateless for this first drive, but everything else looks great. Just double checked all the fluids, everything's good to go. There's a few things that I need to fix, but you know, it's good enough to at least get it out there and test it. The 16-year-old version of me would have had this thing out months ago, testing it. Woo! Dang! This thing is fun! Wow!
Hi everybody, I'm on a Gatorade popsicle.
I didn't show you.
It sure is yummy.